What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for yet another Tottenham update today. And let's start off talking about James Maddison, as Scott Wilson from the Northern Echo says that Tottenham are ahead of Newcastle in the battle to sign James Maddison, with the Leicester midfielder preferring a move to London to switch to then the North East. Suspect things might move fairly quickly once tonight's England game is out the way. He also says that Tottenham are set to offer Maddison a more lucrative wage packet than the one that is on the table from St James's Park. The Mail also saying that the chat around the England camp over the past week is that Leicester City's James Maddison is keen to join Tottenham over rival clubs.
So Harry Kane just getting the word out.
Agent Kane doing God's work.
Kane is like, I want to get the word out. We're back. Maddison, that's what he's doing. And then Dyer's probably putting the word out. Well, maybe not actually. I'm leaving.
Luckily, Dyer's not in the England camp this time.
Exactly, that's true. Very true. Look, I'm absolutely delighted if we can get this one over the line. I think it'd be an absolutely brilliant signing, perfect for Ange's system. A player of really great quality at the moment as well. In top form, decent age at 26 years of age. So he's got many years left ahead of him. I think it would be a brilliant signing. It really excites me, this potential. Obviously, I do find it interesting with all the talk of how much money Newcastle have, that we're able to offer a higher wage packet. I wonder if that's more to do with how much they value him rather than how much they're able to offer.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. But are you kind of, regardless of the wage packet, are you kind of surprised that with the trajectory Newcastle have been on in the last year, that he does favour a move to them over us?
A bit.
To us over them.
Yeah, I am a bit surprised, but you got to remember Tottenham, as much as we're 8th right now, we've been consistently in the top 6 for a number of years. Just because Newcastle make it to 4th one year doesn't necessarily mean they'll stay there. But at the moment, it does look like they will, because they're doing things smartly and they're doing things in a good way. But maybe he's banking on the fact that Tottenham are more likely to get back up amongst it rather than Newcastle are to stay there amongst it. And he's also just joined a team like Leicester, who have also been there amongst it. They're about to then dropped away. True. And Spurs never really have, apart from this season. So maybe he's looking at that and thinking Tottenham are a safer bet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Newcastle kind of react to being in Europe, because it's a long time since they've been in Europe. Hardly any of these players have been there before, and their squad isn't that big where they can really have 2 players in each position where they can fight on all fronts. Yeah,
I think they're looking for a deeper squad, and I think that if Maddison comes, he knows he's going to start every week and week out at Spurs, and it's really going to put him on the map for England as well. I guess at Newcastle you could argue the same thing, playing Champions League football, but and you can't as well discount the family factor, which I also heard. I was watching this podcast with Ben Jacobs saying that Maddison just had twins, and apparently, so the family is very much at the forefront of his mind. And if his wife is very much more interested in living in London, that's always going to be a factor.
Big up Mrs. Maddison, that's what I'm saying.
Or girlfriend, I think might be.
Well, big up to Maddison's girlfriend anyway. But also, the Harry Kane pool is much bigger than the Trippier pool, that's for sure.
Exactly. The Kane pool is unmatched.
Let's talk about Marc Guehi now. Ali Gold has been talking about him. He says Tottenham have a long-standing interest in Marc Guehi. However, potential competition and a big asking price could prove problematic in any potential pursuit of the player this summer. Because of this, the club are yet to follow up on their interest of any official move.
Yeah, and it makes sense. They know as soon as someone makes a move, it's going to be probably a host of clubs who they're going to have their ears perched. It's a bit like when the move for Luis Diaz came about, and all of a sudden Liverpool became alerted to it, and then all of a sudden they're getting ahead of us. So we want to avoid that kind of situation. And also, I think we're probably wary of paying too big a fee right now for someone like Guehi when there are other options out there, maybe. So I think that's probably why we're probably put off by the move at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I would, like I've said before, I rate Guehi, but I think for the money that you're going to spend on him, there are probably other targets that you can bring in, someone that we're going to speak about in a minute, but I would love Marc Guehi at this club. I really would. Next up, let's talk about Harvey Barnes. Jacob Steinberg saying that Tottenham, West Ham, Aston Villa and Newcastle all in the running for Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, makes sense. A player who's had a good season at Leicester. So we'll have to wait and see who is most seriously interested in him. In terms of winger, Ali Gold said we want a young winger, and he's 25. So he's not young, he's not old either, but I mean, when you say young winger, that implies early 20s rather than mid 20s. So are we really going to spend the big money we want for a player who's maybe not the exact profile we want? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But he would be a good signing.
He would be a good signing. I like Harvey Barnes, but I've said it many a time. I think that when we're buying a player in that position, I think we need to be looking at the successor for Heung-min Son. And I just don't think Harvey Barnes represents that, to be honest. But as much as I rate him as a player, I think Harvey Barnes should be more added as a supplement to that position as opposed to maybe the long-term objective of that position. Let's talk about Edmond Tapsoba now. He is one of the defenders that Tottenham are following this summer, according to Ali Gold.
And Fabrizio Romano as well said
Oh,
the
Romano's.
same thing. So it sounds like his name's been...
Sorry, it was from Romano. It wasn't from Ali Gold.
Ah, right. There we go. He's one I've been very much aware of for a few years, and he's a defender he's a bit of a beast, a bit of a monster, but also good on the ball as well. And he's playing really well for Leverkusen at the moment. He's right-footed but can play on the left-hand side, so can cover either position. In terms of the fee you'd have to pay for him, it's probably a lesser fee than you'd be paying for someone like a Guehi as well, coming from Germany. So I think he ticks a lot of the boxes at 24 years of age.
I think this guy is the one that we should be going out for, to be honest. I really do. And you heard Ali Gold was speaking in one of his videos or articles the other day, saying the profile of centre-back that Spurs are looking for is someone that can equally play on the right and the left, that can be versatile in that situation. So I think he kind of ticks every single box that Spurs are looking at the moment. So if we can get him for a good fee, anything below 50 million for me would be a great deal for Tapsoba.
100%. And he's a real rising star at the moment in Germany.
Let's talk about wonder kid Adama Bojang. The Standard are reporting that Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Wolves and Tottenham are all keeping tabs on Gambian wonder kid Adama Bojang, who plays for Gambian side Steve Biko FC.
Yeah, and I watch Gambian football every single week. So I know exactly.
Tell us about it.
No, I wish I could say I do, but I got no idea who this guy is. I'm not even going to pretend to know. Yeah. 19 years of age. He seems to be someone who's attracted interest from a lot of clubs, but why not? Outside the box, look, why not? I think it would be good to scout a lot of the leagues which, have not been well fancied, and maybe you can pick up some gems, but I got no idea about this guy.
Bring him in, why not? Bring him in. Next up, let's talk about David Raya. Nothing new here, but Ali Gold says that Raya is said to be keen on a move to Tottenham. The North London club will not pay over the odds for the player in the final 12 months of his contract. Brentford are believed to be looking for 40 million for the Spain international, while Spurs last summer paid an initial fee of £25 million for Bissouma, who was in a similar contract situation at Brighton.
Yeah, they're going to use that as a benchmark, aren't they? Look, 25 Bissouma, that's probably going to want to pay for Raya, albeit Raya, I guess you can say, is in a similar position in terms of his importance to his club. Bissouma was very important to Brighton, but I feel like Brentford a bit less, maybe. Brighton are more likely to sell than someone like Brentford, because I think it's more in the business model. I haven't seen Brentford being very keen to sell a lot of players. They like to keep the players that they have more often than not, that I've seen. Brighton definitely have a model of sell and then just buy a cheaper replacement who can be just as good. Brentford don't seem to have that exact same model, as much as they're very data-based. But they have to know they've signed a goalkeeper replacement. It's the game's up. They're going to have to sell. I do think this will happen. I don't think I'm going to hang on to him, but we might have to pay a bit. I mean, I don't think we'll get him for 25. I think that's going to have to be a bit more than that, even though that's the benchmark of last summer. But I don't think we'll have to pay 40 either. I think there'll be some leeway. Do
you think he's using that benchmark to sell Harry Kane as well, and the price to sell Harry Kane?
Definitely not.
Bit of double standards there for Daniel Levy there, but I can get behind that one. Clement Lenglet, Ali Gold saying a move to bring back Clement Lenglet has not been ruled out at this stage within the club. When are they going to rule it out?
Just rule it out, man. Look, I'm not surprised, because when you have a defender there for €5 million potentially or whatever, then Levy's always going to be thinking, well, it's just 5 million. He can always just do it for 5 million. You can keep it out in the back pocket for his emergency. It's like break class. You got an emergency 5 million Lenglet there. But I, for one, I don't see the point in it. I just would avoid it and go have a proper investment in a serious defender who you believe can be there for long term, rather than just have a stopgap for 5 million who you're going to have to sell in a year's time. Yeah,
I totally agree, to be honest. But like, if it came to it, and we were to sign him for 5 million as a backup on a short-term deal, maybe like a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, I mean, I wouldn't be the most angry about that. I think it could work if it was all right and it suited Tottenham, but if he's going to be our long-term answer and our one that we're going to go to as our starting left centre back, then no thanks. Just keep him well away from the club.
I just think it's a bit of a waste of time. Bring him back in my opinion. I'd rather spend 20 million on a younger centre back.
Yeah.
I know it's a bit
No,
more
I agree.
outlay,
I agree.
but maybe it's not possible this summer. But
yeah,
whatever.
I totally agree. Let's talk about Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg once again. The Mail are reporting that Tottenham manager Ange Postecoglou is happy to move on Pierre-Emile Hojbjerg, while the 27-year-old is attracting interest from the Premier League and Bundesliga's clubs, including Bayern Munich.
Yeah, and I would assume that a few Premier League teams would be after him because they've seen him consistently play for Tottenham and for Southampton at a decent level. So I'm sure they're going to be there's going to be interest. I envisage, unless Bayern are serious about him, I envisage we're not going to be able to shift him unless it's to a Premier League team, in my opinion, for the money we're going to be asking for him. So I don't see him moving to Germany unless, as I said, unless Bayern are really serious and are going to stump up the money. So I think, if you're like a Villa or something, or even a team in challenging for Europe, I reckon you'd be very serious about us bringing someone on Hojbjerg. I actually think that would be a very good signing for a team like that.
How much?
30 million, 35 million, something like that.
All right, and finally, let's talk about Mikey Moore. Romano says that Tottenham talent Mikey Moore signed a new deal until 2026. He has committed his long-term future to Tottenham. 15-year-old superstar has signed that contract. Good one for Spurs, as Levy and the board did their best to keep Mikey at the club. Here we go.
Absolutely fantastic. Superstar.
I've never seen so much like media hype. Like Ornstein was chiming in on it. Romano was chiming in on it. And this is like a 15-year-old. Like, I really hope they're not putting too much pressure on this guy's shoulders.
I mean, the last time I remember so much hype over a player this age was Odegaard when he signed for Madrid. He
hasn't turned out too badly, has he?
He hasn't. Did take him a while though. It was weird. It looked like his career was actually gonna go nowhere, and then got a loan to Sociedad, and then it kind of lifted off. So maybe look, you don't want to put too much pressure on him. At 15, as I said, players develop at different rates. He might be good now. Doesn't mean he's going to be at the same level in 3 years' time. But apparently, I was reading from the Daily Mirror. They say that it was really seen as a coup from Tottenham to make sure that he stayed, because there were a number of clubs after him, and apparently within the contract signing there were assurances that he would get first team opportunities within 2 years.
2 years,
which seems very early, but
17.
Have to wait and see.
Wow, that's mad.
That would be quite something.
That's mad. And you're talking about creating a pathway from the academy to the first team. That definitely is
we have
a pathway.
Come on.
Yeah, it's mad. But I think he's more of a left winger than he is a striker. So I think it's more of a Son replacement. But happy days. He even did the Son celebration when he was doing when he was scoring for the academy. So look, hopefully there's a big future for Mikey Moore. I haven't seen too much of him, so but I believe he was very pivotal to the trophies that Spurs were winning at academy level this year. So that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the news stories we've brought you today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.